Welcome to my first video. This is it's a video on a Pokemon Draft League, similar to the UCL if you ever heard of it, called the IBL, International Battle League. Me and my friends came up with it. It's not really too special. I mean, we didn't come up with it. It is the UCL, just under a different name. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to someone who's probably watching this video, and anyone who's also watching this video probably already knows about, who is my friend Shy Crow, who's also in the league and is the one who gave me the idea to do this. Now, I am 3 weeks behind. At this point in time, we have already done our week 3 battles, everyone. We are moving on to week 4, and I didn't have a microphone then, so I couldn't do videos. But now I do, and he's been doing them, so I figured why not. We're going to start off this draft recap with Puzzle the Jirachi. It's a Pixie, so base 100 in every stat. It has Serene Grace, so flinches, paralyzes, burns, anything. Any move that has a secondary effect, that secondary effect chance is doubled. So this Body Slam here actually has a 60% chance to paralyze the target. It can be run just about any way because of its stats. It can be run physically offensive, specially offensive, bulky. It can Wish Pass. It gets Healing Wish as well. So if I don't need it anymore, I can sack it off to fully heal something else. It's all around a good Pokemon, especially in the Draft League. So, of course, it was my first OU draft round pick. Second, which I'm surprised it lasted that long, is Zimbabwe the Tapu Koko. This Pokemon is amazing in Draft League just because, well, it's an amazing Pokemon, period. Its Electric Surge ability increases the power of Electric Shape moves, which it obviously also gets Stab on. So, there you go. It's just monstrous. It has a higher physical attack stat, but a better special move pool. And it can honestly be run either way. It can be run, it's incredibly fast. It can be run with Specs, Life Orb, Lefties if you really wanted to, but I probably wouldn't. It could also, all the Tapus have the Tapunium Z, I think is what it's called. Yeah. But, no, like the UCL, we had to draft Z Crystals. I did not draft that one. What else? It also gets Nature's Madness, which is the same as Super Fang. It guaranteed brings anything down to 50%, which is amazing against walls. So, that's enough there. Next we have Pearl the Dragonite. You may recognize the nickname on both this and my next choice, Liability the Crocodile. That is because they are from, I basically took them, from a YouTuber that I watch by the name of The King Nappy. He's one of the leaders of the UCL, so the league that this one is based off of. So if you haven't heard of him, I recommend going and checking him out. He does Pokemon videos. He also has a channel called Nappy the Great that does just regular gaming videos, and he is currently my favorite YouTuber to watch. He also, as you can see, has great nicknames because I stole this one. So we have Pearl the Dragonite. Not much really to say here. It has multi-scale, so it can guarantee to live just about any hit, and then either run Weakness Policy. It can have Dragon Dance. If you do go Weakness Policy, you can also go Agility, so that way you're at ×2 in both attacks and speed, and you can then just kind of sweep everything. But it also gets a lot of good moves. Dragon Claw, Earthquake. It gets Defog if you want to run it that way. It also gets Extreme Speed, which is incredible. It's great priority and great damage. It gets Heal Bell. I don't think I'll ever run it with Heal Bell, but you never know. It's just all around a good Pokemon. Moving on to our UU draft picks, which we are starting off with Liability the Crocodile. Now, right now this thing has Anger Point on, and that's because that was something I wanted to talk about. Anger Point Crocodile. Expect me to bring it at least once. It's happening. I don't care. That plus 12 is insane. That is literally 8 times its physical attack stat, which, with no investment, is 239. So, multiply that by 8. I don't want to do the math right now. It's over 1,500. That's insane. It also gets Power Trip, which is the same as Stored Power. It's plus 20 damage for each stat boost, which is insane. So, don't crit this thing, ever. It also gets Intimidate and Moxie, obviously. Intimidate is great if you want to run a bulkier, like a lead crook with Taunt and Stealth Rock, or Moxie is good, or it's just good in general, even if you want an offensive one. Just Intimidate. It can also have Moxie, which Scarf Moxie is nothing to laugh at. EQ, Knockoff, Fire Fang, Rock Slide, Outrage. This thing gets a lot of good moves with attack boosts constantly coming up. It can put in work. It can sweep. Do not underestimate liability of Crocodile. It is a liability to your team. Next, we have Ladybeard, the Mega Aerodactyl. This thing I drafted mostly because of its insane attack and speed stats. I mean, just look at those. It also has respectable bulk, enough to take a hit, and it does not get a single rock-type move that takes advantage of its Tough Claws ability, but it does get Hone Claws, so that makes Stone Edge 100% accurate, which is really good, considering that the main reason I don't run Stone Edge on a lot of things is because it misses a lot. So, Hone Claws Stone Edge is definitely good. It also gets Defog if I wanted to run it that way. Probably won't, but it's an option. Defog is always good. It also gets Roost. Same with Dragonite, forgot to mention that there. Roost is available on most flying types, and Roost is an amazing move. It's reliable recovery. Why wouldn't you run it? Alright. Next, we got Jeremy the Empoleon, and I already attempted to record this video once, I'm not gonna lie. That's why liability at Anger Point, and this thing has Peck on it. So, this thing has Peck. I didn't want to draft this thing. I really did not. But, me and my friend Mason, who I'm sure is watching this video, if he's not, I'm going to have to fight him later. We were talking before we started up the league. We were just messing around, and I was talking to him about his Machamp that he likes to run, because Machamp is one of his more favorite Pokemon. And he runs No Guard Dynamic Punch. I was telling him that is inefficient. He didn't want to listen to me. We ended up, somehow we got onto a penguin. Don't know how. I mentioned a penguin. I said that the penguin was gonna peck him. He said he was gonna punch the penguin. So, naturally, that led to us both insisting that he had to draft Machamp and I had to draft Empoleon, just so that way I can peck him and he can try to punch me. So, when I face off against Mason and the Massachusetts Mankeys, expect that. Also, I'm an idiot. I forgot to mention my own team name. I am coach of the Massachusetts Metapods. I will not forget that in the other videos, hopefully. So, Jeremy's only here until we battle Mason, then expect one of my free agency trades to be getting rid of this thing. I do not want it. I would much rather have a lot of other things from UU, but I need it until I battle him. So, next up, we have our RU draft, which I led off. I'm pretty sure I was at a pretty good seat here. I ended up getting Donphan. Donphan is an insanely good Pokemon, highly underestimated. 120 attack, 120 defense, 90 HP. 60 defense is nothing to laugh at if you run Assault Vest, because that boosts it, 1.5 times. It brings it up to base 90, which is respectable, especially with that 90 HP. It has sturdy, so it can guarantee to live any hit. It gets Earthquake, good coverage moves like Gunk Shot, you see there, Head Smash, Gyro Ball, or Heavy Slam, either one. It also gets Play Rough and Seed Bomb. It gets Ice Shard and Knockoff too. Ice Shard for priority, Knockoff is just good in general, especially in Gen 6 and 7. So, yeah, there's not really much to talk about Donphan. It's a great Pokemon. First RU pick, as you can tell, I went for bulk in RU and NU mostly, because my OU and UU drafts were mostly offensive. Next up, we have Moonduck, the Cresselia. I don't really need to say a whole lot on this thing. It's a Cresselia. It is eating hits. It is setting up Calm Minds. It is then eating even more hits and doing even more damage. It's just... When we were in the draft, we were in the process of, like, it got to me, and I said Cresselia. Instantly, the person who was casting it, my friend Ilkid, coach of the Missouri Raikou, I think? Yeah, Missouri Raikou. Yeah. He said, I broke an unspoken rule by drafting this, and I responded with, I know. It's just, you don't draft Cresselia, but I needed the special bulk. I really did. So either this or Espeon, and I think Espeon was already drafted at that point, and I had already made up my mind I wanted Cresselia anyways. So, there you have it. Next up is Cfagrigus, Tutankhamun, named after King Tut, if you didn't know. Not much to say about this thing. It's a physical wall. It can eat any physical hit and then go for Will-O-Wisps, making you do even less damage. It gets Pan Split for decent recovery. It's not exactly reliable, but it's okay. It gets Hex, so it can Will-O-Wisp or Toxic, anything, and then Hex, doing base 130 base damage, ghost type stab move. It's great. So it also gets Protect, it gets Trick Room, it gets Energy Ball and Grass Knot for coverage. It gets Mummy, so anything that wants to make contact with it will lose its ability. It also gets Knock Off, so it can then knock off items and also make contact with things, taking their ability. So, it's a great Pokemon. I know I've said that for a lot of things, but it's true. Next up, we move on to the NU draft, which I opened up with, I had the wheel pick, I had 8th spot. I opened up with Phineas the Hitmontop. Phineas because of Phineas and Ferb. Don't know that show? You had a horrible childhood. This thing has Intimidate. As you can see, I had drafted 3 Intimidators out of NU. I like the ability Intimidate. It makes anything naturally bulky. It forces swaps. It hits really hard with a close combat. It gets Bulk Up to hit even harder. It gets Fake Out. It gets Bullet Punch. It gets Mach Punch. Quick Attack, that's a lot of potential priority. It gets Pursuit, which is great. It gets Rapid Spin. It gets Toxic, Sucker Punch. It's, again, a good Pokemon. It also, for all those priority moves I was mentioning, and that Fake Out, it gets Technician to make them even stronger. Bring them from base 40 to base 80. I don't think he has any base 60 moves to take advantage of that to its best. Except for, like, Hidden Power, Aerial Ace. But, yeah, that's Phineas the Hitmontop. Not really much more to say about him. Moving on, we have S'mores, the shiny Incineroar. I love this thing. It's amazing. And yeah, this thing just... It's a starter. It has starter stats. It's nothing to laugh at in any real stat, except for its speed is pretty bad, but really it's not that terrible. Especially because it can be made bulky with an Assault Vest. It could run Life Orb. It could also run Scarf if you wanted to. And it hits hard, and with Intimidate, it's made naturally physically bulky. With Intimidate and Assault Vest, this thing is guaranteed eating a hit and doing damage. It also gets Drain Punch for some recovery. Not exactly reliable, but it's good. And last, but I want to say certainly not least, but it kind of is, Snuffles, the Stoutland. And I'm not even going to talk about this thing. Obviously, see it as Intimidate. But I did not keep this. As I said earlier, I'm recording this as of post week 3. And I believe between week 2 and 3, I made a free agency trade. And I swapped this thing for Vaporeon. Because I had not used it, I didn't see myself ever using it. And obviously, I said I don't want to keep Empoleon, so that means I would need a water type when I got rid of it. I also needed a Cleric. I needed a reliable Heal Bell user, which I mentioned Dragonite gets it, but it's not that good. It's like, Dragonite is not meant to use Heal Bell, it's meant to hit like a fucking truck. I think that's the first time I swore in this video. Demonetized. Not that I was going to monetize this video anyways, because I have 0 subs. But it has Heal Bell. It gets Wish with a shit ton of HP. So it's a really fat Wish, even with no investment. That's 200 HP Wish. That's basically healing over half on anything on my team. I think this thing actually does have the most HP of anything on my team. It also gets Scald, Protect. Everything gets Protect. It gets Haze, Toxic. And yeah, it's a good Pokemon. It's a genuinely good Pokemon that I needed for this team, and spoiler alert, I brought it week 3. And I expect it to come many more times, definitely more than I would have ever brought Stoutland. So, that is almost the end of the video. Lastly, I'd like to mention that we did, at the end of the draft, we did a Z Crystal draft, and I scooped up the Flyinium Z. Probably not my best idea, but I got it for 3 reasons. 1, Tapu Koko, Brave Bird. That will hurt. 2, Dragonite, Stab Fly, Z-move. That will hurt. And 3, Jeremy down here, because I want to do as much damage. If I'm running Peck on it, I want to do as much damage as I can. And he did say, as long as I had the video proof, I could use Z-Peck to make sure, like the proof that I clicked Peck, I could use the Z-Peck. So, there you have it. That's my team. That was my entire draft. Like I said, I am done with all the way up through week 3, but I do plan on recording the replays of those matches and commentating over them, telling you what my thought process was. I don't really remember week 1 and 2 too well, but that's fine. And I just want to let you guys know my thought process in those weeks. Like I said earlier, my friend Shy Crow, who got me into doing this, he's already done weeks 1 through 3 and posted them. Check out his channel if you haven't. He's great. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say there. So I'm going to end the video here. See y'all later.